On June 13, 2025, at 3:28 a.m. Tehran time, the world held its breath. The Iranian sky was torn apart by Israeli strikes, an operation of unprecedented brutality and audacity, codenamed Rising Lion. Nuclear sites like Natanz, military bases, residential buildings in the capital, 100 targets were obliterated in a matter of hours. 4 key figures of the Iranian regime, Hossein Salami, head of the Revolutionary Guards, Mohammad Bagheri, chief of staff, Amir Ali Hajizadeh, head of the Aerospace Force, and Gholam Ali Rashid, senior commander, were eliminated. At least 78 dead, 329 injured, according to official Iranian figures, likely underestimated. Tehran retaliated that evening with dozens of missiles and 100 drones targeting Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, injuring 7 people and plunging Israel into a state of maximum alert, with sirens blaring and families hunkered down in shelters. Why did Benjamin Netanyahu decide to strike so hard so far? Who's really pulling the strings behind this chaos? And above all, why does the world paralyzed watch this escalation unfold without flinching when it threatens to engulf everything? Tonight, we're not just going to report the facts, we're diving into the inferno, dissecting the stakes, the lies, the silences, and asking the burning question: are we on the brink of total war, or is this just another chapter in the grand theater of the powerful playing with our lives? If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out on the news that matters. To stay informed, you need to be in the right place, and that place is right here on Carlos Lucas's channel. So click subscribe and stay awake. Let's go back to that Black Friday. At 3:28 a.m., Israeli aviation unleashed hell on Iran. The operation, dubbed Rising Lion, carries heavy symbolism drawn from a verse in the Book of Numbers. Here is a people that rises like a lioness and stands like a lion. Netanyahu doesn't do subtlety. In an English language speech broadcast on YouTube, he justified the attack as a preemptive action against an Iran he accuses of seeking a nuclear holocaust. He speaks of a Liberation Day, a nod to Trump's rhetoric, promising the Iranian people a future free of their tyrants. But behind the biblical flourishes and messianic rhetoric lies a cold calculation. Israel targeted Natanz, the heart of Iran's nuclear program, military bases in the northwest, and even buildings in Tehran, killing generals and scientists. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, no radioactive contamination was detected, but the message is clear: Israel wants to slow, if not stop, a program Netanyahu claims could produce 9 atomic bombs. True, exaggerated. We know Iran is enriching uranium to concerning levels, but we also know that claims of weapons of mass destruction have been used as pretexts before. Remember Iraq in 2003? Mainstream media, too busy parroting official statements, gloss over the contradictions. Why strike now when nuclear talks in Oman, scheduled for this Sunday, were on the verge of a breakthrough? Why torpedo a diplomatic process that, according to Iranian Minister Abbas Araghchi, was moving forward constructively? The answer lies in the corridors of power, where decisions are made far from the cameras. Netanyahu is fighting for his survival. In Israel, he's cornered. Judicial scandals, a divided public, a fragile coalition. Nothing unites a country like an external enemy. Iran, with its anti-Israel rhetoric and support for Hezbollah and Hamas, is the perfect scapegoat. But he can't act alone. Agnès Levallois, a Middle East expert, is unequivocal. An operation of this magnitude, using bombs capable of penetrating nuclear bunkers, wouldn't have been possible without Washington's tacit approval. Trump, despite his denials, supplied those weapons upon his return to the White House. Yet the US president is the big loser of this Friday the 13th. He dreamed of a historic deal with Tehran, an agreement to curb Iran's nuclear program and etch his name in history. On Thursday, he was begging Israel not to strike, warning it could derail everything. 24 hours later, he's forced to praise an excellent operation on Fox News while hoping Iran will negotiate seriously. Kevin Gafaiti, a researcher in international relations, calls it a slap in the face for Trump. The US, Israel's historic ally, is losing its role as the conductor of the orchestra. Netanyahu has broken free, showing that America's voice no longer carries the same weight. It's a diplomatic earthquake, a crack in the Washington-Tel Aviv axis, and a stark reminder: even the strongest alliances are fragile when interests diverge. But let's look further. This attack isn't just an Israel-Iran duel. It reveals a world teetering on the edge, where the powerful play with fire without a thought for the consequences. Iran, humiliated, retaliates with missiles and drones, but its chain of command is decapitated. The Revolutionary Guards, now led by Abdolrahim Musavi, promise the gates of hell. The supreme leader Ali Khamenei remains silent, but his authority is shaken. In Tehran, anti-Israel protests erupt, while exiles like Reza Pahlavi or Masih Alinejad see a chance to topple the regime. Netanyahu, by invoking a Liberation Day, flirts with the idea of regime change, a long-standing Western obsession. Remember Afghanistan, Libya? Every time we've tried to liberate a people by force, the result has been chaos. And yet, here we go again. Why? Because Iran, with its ballistic missiles and regional influence, is a threat to Israel, but also to Gulf monarchies, Western allies. Because oil, always oil, is at stake. Prices surged 12% this Friday, European stock markets dropped over 1%, and pump prices are skyrocketing. Kevin Tozé, an analyst at Carmignac, warns of a stagflation risk, low growth, runaway inflation. Airlines from Air France to Emirates are cancelling flights, Tabriz's airport is in flames, and the airspace of Iran, Iraq and Jordan is closed. An entire region is suffocating. And are you still surprised? Civilians are paying the price. In Iran, sanctions already crush the poorest, and this conflict will deepen their misery. In Tehran, women and children are among the 329 injured. In Israel, people live under the constant threat of missiles, and Netanyahu, by playing the lion, risks isolating his country internationally. The European Union calls for restraint. Emmanuel Macron reaffirms Israel's right to self-defense while urging de-escalation, a typical Western diplomatic contradiction. Vladimir Putin condemns the strikes and offers mediation, a cynical move to position himself as a counterweight to the West. The UN Security Council meets urgently, but with Russian and Chinese vetoes, no resolution will emerge. Meanwhile, Hamas denounces a dangerous escalation, and Hezbollah, weakened but still active, could reopen a front in Lebanon. Iran's proxies, Houthis in Yemen, militias in Syria, are on high alert, and US bases in the region, potential targets. Sylvain Gaillot, a researcher at Paris 1, puts it bluntly: the risk is an open war, out of control. Picture this: a regional conflict that engulfs the Gulf, disrupts oil supplies, and plunges the global economy into a crisis worse than 2008. Seems far-fetched? Think again. When oil prices spike, it's your gas, your groceries, your daily life that takes the hit. But there's something even graver. This June 13, 2025 shows a world where war is once again the default response. Netanyahu dreams of a liberated Iran, Trump of a historic deal, Tehran of implacable revenge. And the people? Iranians, crushed by an authoritarian regime and sanctions, didn't ask for these strikes. Israelis hiding in shelters don't want to live in fear, and the world's youth marching for climate, for freedom, are held hostage by decisions made by a handful of leaders. Iran's nuclear program, if slowed, isn't destroyed. This humiliation could push Tehran to double down, like North Korea did under pressure. And the climate, forgotten in the panic, freedoms, threatened by militarization, the UN, a hollow shell. So what do? Watch helplessly or act? This moment must wake us up. We need to question official narratives, demand transparency, reject the inevitability of war, because it's not just the Middle East that's burning, it's the very idea of a world where dialogue could prevail over bombs. This Friday the 13th is a mirror held up to our era, a mirror showing a world order in tatters, where the powerful sacrifice peace for ambition. Netanyahu, playing the lion, risks opening Pandora's box. Trump, losing control, reveals America's decline. And Iran, by retaliating, could drag an entire region into chaos. But this chaos isn't inevitable. It's the result of choices, calculations, complicit silences. So, it's up to you, to us, to say enough, to hold our leaders accountable, to remind them that civilians, youth, future generations deserve better than missiles and bellicose speeches. This point of no return, as former Revolutionary Guard Commander Hossein Kanani Moghadam warned, could be the last if we do nothing. So stay awake, inform yourself, debate, act. Because history teaches us one thing: when people rise, they can change the game. Netanyahu's lion roars, but it's up to us to write what comes next.